G'day reefers, I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Welcome to Gallery Aquatica TV. Today I'm going to show you how to make the absolutely perfect aquarium hose. The perfect aquarium hose is a very important tool for maintenance of all aquariums. Now we use these hoses for draining the tanks and often for refilling the tanks, and having a hose that is versatile is really useful. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use the pieces that we've got here. We're going to create two parts to our hose system. The first part is what I typically call a candy cane. That allows us to attach our hose onto our tank. And the second part is the hose itself, which then attaches to the candy cane, which we then run to wherever we're draining the tank. So let's have a look at the parts of the hose that we've got and how we're going to put it together. So these are the parts that we're going to be using to make our candy cane. And we have a couple of what I would call long risers. There's a short riser, we've got a basket strainer, we've got a few other fittings, 90 degrees, and we have a female cam lock. That's very important. We'll have a look at that in a minute. And we've also got a ball valve. Now this ball valve is going to be able to be used to control the speed of the flow, as well as stopping the flow entirely when we're draining the tank. This is one of the critical parts of our whole system. So let's show you how we're going to set this up. This is our candy cane. As you can see, we haven't put anything together yet. Our basket strainer is going to be at the end, stopping fish getting sucked up into our hose system. Our our ball valve is going to be on the outside of the tank, of course, so we can control it. And our female cam lock is at the bottom here. I'm going to use thread tape to put this together. Now, the reason why I use thread tape is because it gives us a good seal, but it also means we can easily take parts off, and it will give us some movement with our candy cane system. And by movement I mean the end that goes into the tank will be able to rotate and swivel, and that is really advantageous. Sometimes you need to move one end of the candy cane to easily get it out of the tank. So let's put this system together using our thread tape. So this is the most laborious part of making this candy cane, is just putting all the parts together. I'm not going to use thread tape for our basket strainer, and I sometimes like to take the basket strainers off. One of the big advantages of this system for me is that I can use this same hose for draining a tank as well as refilling. But we'll have a look at the system that allows for that in a minute. Also just pulling off the stickers. So most of the equipment that we're using here is Hansen. It's readily available from pretty much all big hardware stores in Australia. Typically I would say it's better to use more thread tape than not enough. Right, our short riser. Now this short riser is going to go between the two long lengths, and depending on your aquarium you may actually choose to make or to use a longer riser than this. If you have a tank which has got particularly wide braces, then you would be best off having a longer riser than this, so that you can more easily put your candy cane over the blades of the tank. This is another advantage of this system, is it's very easy to customize it for your aquarium. Sorry, just having a little bit of trouble with that thread tape. Okay. You may have noticed that we're in our new store, the Salisbury Gallery Aquatica, and we're here today to do a little bit of work on the systems. We've still got a few weeks before we open, and one of the critical things that we need to have here is a good hose, so that whoever's doing the maintenance on the tanks can very easily drain them out. And we will also be using this hose here for refilling from our salt water tank. I'm going to put a little bit more thread tape on that first one. You'll know that you haven't put enough thread tape on if you get slow leaks, which is very rare. These hoses are very secure and safe from leaks. Very, very rarely they leak. Okay. So another 90 degrees. Okay. Second riser. The length of these risers is something else that you can customize. I typically use these lengths. I'm going to say they're probably 2 foot, 60 centimeters. I might measure them in a sec, but they're the perfect length for most of the tanks that we work on. They'll drain the majority of water out of a tall tank, out of a tank which is 80 centimeters high, and they'll go right to the bottom of a tank which is 2 foot high. So this is our ball valve. Now I've chosen to go for a 1.5 inch, sorry, it's 1/4 inch ball valve, even though the rest of the gear that I'm using is 1 inch, so 25 mil, whereas this is 32. And I've done that just so that we don't have any reduction of flow through the ball valve. If you do go for the 25 mil, it is slightly smaller internal dimensions, I think. So I've gone for this one. It makes it a little bit chunky, but I actually think it looks pretty good. But it does mean that I've got to use an adapter to go down to the 25 mil or 1 inch. So I'm going to thread tape that in, and on the underside as well for the female cam lock. So more thread tape. Now our female cam lock. This is going to be what our hose attaches to. I specifically like to have separate hoses to candy canes, so you can break down the equipment. So I'm just taking off these little extra bits. There's our female cam lock. I'll put the thread tape on. I just ensure that we've got our ball valve in line with that first riser and that our female cam lock is perpendicular, like so. But that is our candy cane. Let's have a look at how we're going to make the hose section of this system. So the hose that you choose for your aquarium hose is quite important. I like to use suction line, which is normally the sort of hose that you would use between your water tank and your pump, because it doesn't suck in on itself and it's got these corrugations. The advantage of using it for what we do is that it does typically lay very flat and it also doesn't kink. So I find it the perfect hose for aquariums. Now I use either this blue or there's a grey one you'll often see me using, and so I'm going to cut the length that's going to suit what we're using it for here. So in this case it's going to be from our aquariums in the furthest corner of the shop to where we're going to be draining to. And I think it's going to be about 15 metres, but I'm just going to measure that out first. Then I'm going to add our male cam locks, and that will be our hose. So first of all, I'll measure it out. So this is how much hose we need for this purpose. This is another way you can customize your system. When I'm on the road, I will have a number of these hoses that I can link together. But when you've only got a single aquarium or you've got a hose for a specific purpose, having the length of the hose customized with the job makes it a lot easier. So now it's time for us to put our male cam lock onto our hose. This can be a little bit difficult. I always like to use boiling hot water to soften the end of the hose. So I'm just giving it a few minutes in this pre-boiled water, and then we're going to put the hose clamp on first, and then we're going to try and get our male cam lock in as far as possible and do it with the hose clamp. Alright, it's almost ready. Hose clamp. Okay, that's it. So that's exactly what we want. You can see that the hose goes all the way to the edge of the cam lock, and now I just tighten it up. Probably doesn't even need this hose clamp, to be fair. It's such a tight fit. Alright, that's one end done, now the other end. So that's our hose finished. Let's have a look at the different ways that we can use this system. The typical way that we use this hose is for draining aquariums, and very easy, we just attach our cam locks together. The candy cane goes in the tank. Given we've got this flexibility, I'll actually change the angle of the candy cane so it drains down to the level that I want. And then we've got our hose that runs out to wherever we're draining. I start the siphon just by sucking on the hose, and it will then drain out the aquarium. We can start and stop the flow as required, and this is the best way to drain a tank. The thickness of this hose being 1 inch or 25 mil is very fast. You can drain out quite large aquariums using this hose, but it is also good for relatively small aquariums. Let's have a look at how we use it for pumping water back into tanks. So we're at Gallery Aquatica Salisbury, and this is the water tank that we store our natural seawater. And to use this hose system to pump water from our storage tank into any of the aquariums here, we use a Davy 171S. I find these very reliable pumps, and they're relatively inexpensive, and they're the perfect speed for the purpose that I need them for. Now, I have set this pump up with a female cam lock on the outlet and a male cam lock on the intake with a short length of suction hose to make it easy to use. And when I'm using this hose system to pump water into our tanks, I just connect the female cam lock on the bottom of our storage tank, and then our hose system connects to the pump, and we send our candy cane to the tank, put it in the tank, open up the ball valve, that will be there when this is finished. That primes the pump, primes the line, we turn power onto the pump and it's filling. So again, our hose system is very versatile and perfect for everything that we need it to do. When we're finished with our hose, I always break it all down. A suction hose like this is very easy to roll up. Some of the more like vinyl hose I find difficult, it kinks and it's just not as easy. But this is easy to work with and stores very nicely. So this really is the perfect aquarium hose. So thank you very much for watching Gallery Aquatica TV. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy reefing. I have this set up with on the outlet and a male cam lock body. Might just say it's outside to drain it. That's our video for today. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button and make sure you've subscribed to our channel so you don't miss an episode of Gallery Aquatica TV. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy reefing!